The recorder was already running when she saw him. Simone had her press badge in one hand and her phone in the other. 8 months of research. 47 sources. 3 lawyers telling her to drop it. She hadn't dropped it. Connor Sloan walked out of the building at 8:14 in the morning. Just like her source said he would. Dark suit. No tie. Moving fast, like a man who owned every second of his time. She stepped forward. Mr. Sloan, Simone Carter, D.C. Tribune. I have a few questions. He stopped. Not slowed down. Stopped completely. His eyes found her face and something shifted behind them. Not surprise. Something older than surprise. He reached out and wrapped his hand around her wrist. Gentle. Firm. Like he'd done it before. You shouldn't have come here. His voice dropped to almost nothing. The recorder kept running. Simone had no idea what he meant. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you emotional stories that stay with you. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story. And if you're returning, thank you. Your support means everything. Now, stay till the end, drop a comment with your thoughts and let's begin. Simone pulled her wrist back. Excuse me. Connor Sloan didn't flinch. He just looked at her the way people look at something they've been expecting for a long time. Calm. Almost tired. Come inside, he said. I'm not going anywhere with you. I don't even know you. Something moved across his face. Not quite pains. Something flatter than that. I know, he said quietly. Come inside anyway. She should have left. Every instinct that had kept her alive in this job for 10 years said turn around. Get in your car, file what you have. But her editor had pulled her off the story 4 hours after she'd submitted her location to the newsroom. No explanation. Just a 2-line email. Reassigned. Come on Monday. She hadn't come on Monday. She followed him inside. His office was on the 40th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The kind of view that reminded you how small most people were. He brought bottled water and didn't ask if she wanted any. Just set the glass in front of her. How much do you remember, he said. About 6 years ago. Simone stared at him. I remember everything about 6 years ago. What were you doing in September? That September. Her mouth opened. Then closed. September. 6 years ago. She'd been on assignment. A long one. Somewhere she always got fuzzy on this part. She remembered the story. A corporate fraud piece that never ran. She remembered coming home feeling hollowed out, like something had been taken from her she couldn't name. She'd put it down to burnout. Changed jobs. Moved apartments. Started therapy. I was working, she said. Where? The fuzz again. Thick and strange. She stopped. Portland. I think. Connor sat down across from her. He slid a manila folder across the desk. She didn't touch it. Open it, he said. Inside was a single document. Cream paper. Official seal. 2 signatures at the bottom. Her name. His name. A date. A marriage certificate. The room went very quiet. Her chest did something complicated. That's not real, she said. It is. I've never been to Portland. He looked at her steadily. I know. Her hands were cold. Then what is this? That, he said, is what I've spent 6 years trying to find out. If you're feeling this story, hype it so others can find it. Comment where you're watching from now, back to the story. She took the folder. She shouldn't have, but she did. Walked straight out of his office, past his assistant, into the elevator, out through the marble lobby, and sat in her car for 20 minutes without starting the car. The document looked real. The seal looked real. Her signature looked exactly like her signature. The slight leftward lean on the S. The way she looped the C in Carter. But she had never been to Portland. She was very sure of that. She called her mother that night. "Mama, 6 years ago in September, do you remember where I was?" A pause. "Baby, you were on that long assignment. You called me from, I want to say, Oregon. You sounded strange. I remember because I almost flew out there." "Strange how?" "Tired, flat, like you weren't quite yourself." Another pause. "Why?" "Just fact-checking something." She hung up and sat in the dark of her apartment. Her laptop was open on her coffee table. The Sloan investigation file spread across the screen. 47 sources. Patent theft. 3 engineers whose careers were destroyed after they tried to go public. She added a new folder. Labeled it simply, "Me." The break-in had happened 3 weeks ago. She'd assumed it was a warning, someone connected to Sloan trying to scare her off. Nothing was taken. Not her laptop, not her external drive, not the cash in her kitchen drawer. But her filing cabinet had been opened. The lock popped clean. And the one thing missing was a small notebook she'd kept from 6 years ago. Notes from the Portland assignment that never ran. She hadn't thought much of it at that time. She was thinking about it now. At 11 p.m. her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Ms. Carter." A woman's voice. Older. Careful. "We've never spoken. But I worked for Connor Sloan's father for 19 years. I know what happened to you in Portland." Simone's throat tightened. Who is this? Someone who should have said something a long time ago. A breath. "There's a coffee shop on 9th and Madison. Tomorrow. 7 a.m. Come alone." The line went off. Simone stared at her phone. Her coffee had gone cold without her noticing. The woman's name was Ruth. Late 60s. Silver hair pulled back tight. Hands wrapped around a coffee mug like she needed something to hold on to. She looked like someone who had been carrying a heavy thing for a very long time and was finally ready to put it down. Connor's father, Douglas Sloan, ran the company before Connor took over, Ruth said. Douglas was not a good man. Connor knew it. Connor spent years trying to fix what his father broke. "The engineers," Simone said. "The stolen patents." Ruth nodded slowly. Douglas destroyed those men. And when Connor started digging, when he got close to having enough to go to the board, his father found a different way to stop him. Simone waited. "You were investigating Douglas. 6 years ago. Your story would have broken everything open." Ruth's eyes were steady. Douglas found out. He had people, the kind of people who handle problems quietly. The coffee shop felt too loud suddenly. Too bright. "What did they do to me?" Simone's voice came out smaller than she intended. "You were drugged for 2 days. Enough to create a situation that could be used as leverage." Ruth looked down at her mug. The marriage was Douglas's idea. A license in your name, Connor's name. Completely without Connor's knowledge or consent. Why? Because Douglas knew Connor was going to expose him. And he needed something to hold over his son. Something that could destroy Connor publicly if he moved forward. Ruth looked up. A secret marriage to a journalist investigating the family. It would have looked like Connor fed you information. Like you were compromised. Your career is gone. His credibility is gone. The whole investigation is buried. Simone's chest felt hollow. Connor didn't know. Not until 2 years later, when Douglas got sick and started making confessions. Ruth set down her mug. Connor has been trying to find you ever since. To warn you. To explain. He had 6 years. You changed your name after your mother remarried. Changed cities twice. Your byline is different now. Ruth paused. He found you 4 months ago. He didn't know how to approach you without making it worse. Simone stared at the table. 4 months ago was exactly when strange things started happening. When she started feeling watched. She went back to him. She didn't want to. She drove around for an hour first, both hands on the wheel, jaw tight. Then she parked outside Sloan Industries and sat there until a security guard started watching her. Connor was in a meeting when she arrived. His assistant, a young man named Derek who looked like he'd been trained never to react to anything, said he'd let him know she was there. Simone sat in the waiting area and looked out at the city. Ruth's words kept moving through her. Drugged. 2 days. Created a situation. 2 days she couldn't remember. Her notebook was gone. A story that never ran. Connor came out in 10 minutes. He dismissed Derek with a look and sat down across from her right there in the waiting area, like he didn't need the formality of an office for this. "You talked to Ruth," he said. "Is it true?" "Yes." Simple as that. No flinch. No disclaimer. All of it. His hands were on his knees. "Still, my father used both of us. I didn't know until he was dying. By then you were gone and I had no way to find you that wasn't." He stopped. "I didn't want to send someone to your door. After everything my family already did, showing up uninvited felt like more of the same. So you just waited. I built a case. Against my father's estate. Against the men he hired." His eyes didn't move from her face. "I wanted to come to you with something done, not just an apology." Simone looked at him for a long moment. "What happened to my story? The Portland investigation?" "Buried. I have copies of everything. The original sources, the documents, the evidence your editors never saw." He paused. "I was going to give it all to you. That's what this week was supposed to be." Her voice came out flat. "And the marriage certificate? Still legal, technically. My lawyers found a way. Douglas made sure it couldn't be quietly voided. It would require both of us to petition." The waiting room hummed with quiet office noise. "So I'm actually married to you," Simone said. "On paper." She laughed. It wasn't funny. But she laughed anyway. She didn't file the story that night. She sat at her kitchen table with everything Connor had given her. 2 flash drives, a bound folder 3 inches thick, contact information for all 3 engineers, and she didn't open any of it. Her hands were flat on the table. She was thinking about 2 days she couldn't remember. About a version of herself that went to Portland sharp and came back hollow. About all the times in the years after that she'd felt slightly off-center and called it burnout. Called it life. Called it getting older. She called her therapist at 9 p.m. Left a voicemail. Then she called her best friend Dara, who answered on the second ring and listened without interrupting for 20 minutes, which was the thing Simone loved most about her. "So he's been trying to find you," Dara said when she finished. "That's what he says. Do you believe him?" Simone was quiet for a moment. "The documents are real. Ruth has no reason to lie. And the timeline," she stopped. "It all lines up, Dara. Every strange thing lines up." "That's not what I asked." Another pause. Longer this time. "Yeah," Simone said quietly. "I believe him." She went back to Sloan Industries the next morning. Not for Connor. For the engineers. She sat with Derek until Connor was free, then walked into his office and put one of the flash drives on his desk. "I'm filing the story," she said. "All of it. Douglas Sloan, the patents, the men he destroyed. I'm also including what was done to me." She met his eyes. "I need you on record. Fully. No corporate PR. No lawyer-approved statement." Connor looked at the flash drive. Then at her. "When?" "I want to publish within 2 weeks. I'll give you everything. On record. Full name." He didn't hesitate. "I've been waiting to say it publicly for a long time." Simone nodded. She picked up her bag. "And the other thing," he said quietly. "The certificate." She stopped at the door. "We can file together," he said. "Dissolve it the right way." Or he stopped himself. Looked at his hands. She waited. He looked up. I'll follow your lead. Whatever you need. The story ran on a Thursday. Simone's byline was back to her original name, Carter, for the first time in 4 years. Her editor called it the most important piece the Tribune had published in a decade. By Friday morning, Douglas Sloan's estate was under federal investigation. 2 of the men he'd hired were named publicly. All 3 engineers were contacted by a law firm offering to reopen their cases. Simone read the comments from her car. She'd learned a long time ago not to read them inside. Her phone rang. "Connor, proud of you. For what it's worth." She stared at the message for longer than she should have. They had filed the petition together, 2 weeks before publication. Sat in a lawyer's office on opposite sides of a table and signed their names on real paperwork this time. Paperwork that meant something. The process would take another 60 days, the lawyer said. Paperwork moved slowly. Connor had walked her to her car after. The same entrance where she'd first shown up with her recorder running and her press badge out. Not knowing his name meant anything to her. "Thank you," he said. "For the record." He paused. "For not making me the story." "You're not the story," she said. "Your father is." He nodded. Looked down the street. Then back at her. "When this is over," he said, "I'd like to have dinner with you. Not a meeting. Not a source conversation." He held her gaze. "If you'd want that." Simone looked at him. This man who had spent 6 years building a case. Who had handed her the story instead of burying it. Who sat across from her in a lawyer's office and signed papers quietly. No argument, no condition. "Ask me again in 60 days, she said. He almost smiled. "I will." She drove home. The city noise came in, horns, voices, someone's music from a corner. Full and loud and present. What would you rate this story? Drop 0 to 10 in the comments right now. If this story moved you, hit the subscribe button for more emotional journeys every day. And if it truly touched your heart, consider leaving a super thanks. Your support helps us create more stories like this. Every contribution, big or small, means a lot. Ready for the next story? It's even more dramatic than this. Click now. Thank you for being part of this journey.